So I would like to ask Michael Potts to come up with his presentation. Michael, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you for that, Peter. And before I get too started, I want to say that I just arrived last night in Boston. I'm here at the MIT Hackathon. It's just starting this morning. But I want to talk a little bit about how financial organizations can find value in employing extended reality into their services and companies. But before I do that, I want to really quickly just share a little 60-second video of our company so that if you don't mind, I can hopefully give you a sort of an explanation of what we do, and hopefully this is working. Okay, I'm not sure, did the audio come through on that too, or you could at least see the video, right?
Indeed.
Okay, great. So with that, without more going deeper, I'll just say that Polycount, my company, has been at it for about 20 years in the XR space. And ever since the pandemic, we've seen a significant increase in companies' willingness to experiment, leverage, and use extended reality in a variety of business goals. I should clarify for those who are not aware of what we use the term extended reality for. It's a XR is a blanket term. It basically means virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. We also could add into that immersive experiences.
So if you're showing a screen, we don't see it.
I'm not sharing screen right now.
Okay.
I'm going to be sharing videos throughout the way, so you're just going to be seeing videos throughout the way. And also in mobile development. And some companies out there specialize in one or the other, but we've been at it for so long that we basically take whatever corporate client needs and adopt that technology, be it XR, AR, VR, or other forms of mixed reality. We've done a number of jobs for companies in the finance sector. We've worked for Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Credit Agricole, Charles Schwab, and the Economic Forum. But we work across a much wider variety of industries as well. So we've worked with companies like CBS, Deutsche Telekom, Netflix, Paramount, McDonald's, Chanel, Saudi Aramco, all over the globe. Overall, over the last 10 or 15 years, we've worked with about 100 different major corporations. I want to say a little bit more. I'm going to give a tiny bit more background because I think some of this is going to be useful when we're talking about how it pertains to the financial sector. So in 2022, when the metaverse was a big buzzword, we were getting like 20 calls a week from companies, big and small, that wanted to get into the metaverse. It was actually a little overwhelming for us. We weren't prepared for that. Actually, Mark Zuckerberg kind of pulled the trigger on something that we had to kind of deal with it. Things have calmed down a lot since then. The AI buzz has taken over most of the craze, I would call it, and we can focus mostly with working with partners who really see a value and want to make sure that what they do has a lasting impact. The industry that we've been working in for the last 20 years has taken a long time to develop. I've been actually messing around with virtual reality since the mid-90s, and there are events like COVID-19 that push the development along at a much faster pace. But then there were those things like that metaverse craze in 2022 that created actually too much attention before it was really time for it. And Peter, I'd be curious if you would agree with this. But I think that that actually now that it's slowed down a little bit, things can get back to the pace that they should have been on. All in all, the development of hardware is consistently been occurring actually since the 60s. And there's been a push to make devices smaller, faster, more efficient, more powerful, and have more features. But ever since I've been in this space, whenever I've shared experiences with users, the request has always been they want the devices to be better. The software development has had to occur as well, but in my opinion, there's been plenty of development in the last several decades on the software side. It is still the hardware side that's the trickier part. You've got heat, you've got battery power, and you've got to try to make all these things fit into the smaller and smaller footprint. And big companies are getting serious about it. Even last night, Google made a big investment in a company called HTC to essentially acquire their part of their XR business. So you've got these big companies right now like Meta, Google, Microsoft, and Samsung and Apple that have come a long, long way in the development. But there's still a lot more that has to happen and needs to happen before the devices are to the point where we see them as everyday accessories and eventually everyday parts of our lives. I believe that in the years to come, the glasses will likely replace our phone. We'll go from this to this, but we're still years away from that. And I have been making predictions for my clients when they ask me on when will these things happen, and I've usually been relatively accurate for second, third, fourth iterations of device hardware. I'm not exactly sure when the phones will be replaced with glasses, but I think, and I'd be again curious what Peter's point on this one is, but I think it's probably about 5 to 7 years away, maybe a little further. It's hard to say. Perhaps with AI advancement, they might be able to make some big hurdles happen sooner and get it done before 2020 or before 2030. But my guess is it's 2030 to 2035 or 2030 to 2020, 2032. Anyway, what I've seen in the years that followed the metaverse craze is a reshifting of priorities in the XR and enterprise and finance companies to where they see use cases that have clearly understood and logical and documented ROI. We can see that right now in the medical field, where surgeons are using XR to practice on surgeries and use it to perform remote surgeries, where the ROI is not just in dollars, but also in lives saved. We also can see that in the NFL, where star quarterbacks are practicing in XR and improving their chances on the field, where the stakes are big, but the return can be huge as well. This is in this case, the financial important is there, but it's also a big deal for the fans, right? You know, if the quarterback is winning more games, the fans are happy. If you don't mind, I'd like to share a really short story before I get into the use cases for financial companies, and that is an actual experience that my company did. We were hired about 9 years ago from a company who produced these simulators for gun shooting. So if any of you have seen these projection simulators for golf, they have them sometimes in bars, they have them sometimes in golf pro shops, where you'd swing a golf club and it'd record where the golf ball would go. Well, this company was doing skeet shooting in a similar technique, and they wanted to create a virtual reality experience. So now I'm going to share here again. Let's see. And I'm just going to pull this little page up. Let's see if this does that. And go out here just a second to this company. If you want to check it out, it's called Lead Tech Co. The product they had is called Clazer. Anyway, so Clazer was a projection simulator. So they basically, they hired us to build this, help them build this game that you would use for shotgun shooting. And the main purpose was to get professional shooters and amateur shooters and Olympic shooters to have a better job on the, or better score on the competitions. So fast forward a year, after we helped build the game, it was testing and working perfectly. It did everything it was supposed to do. It was released to the public in a gaming platform that was made it easy to distribute to other players and made it easy to distribute to shooters. However, the public who were playing the games, they weren't very impressed. They really didn't love the way that the game played. They didn't think that the graphics were as on par with what they should be. They didn't think that the game was much fun. And so it didn't get very good reviews. But in the professional and the semi-professional realm and the shooting associations, a few people got early access to it and gave it rave reviews. Basically, it did exactly what it's supposed to do, which is teach you how to shoot shotgun and do skeet and trap shooting really well. It allowed people to practice in their garage or their den or their basement and literally shoot thousands and thousands of practice shots in all kinds of skeet and trap situations. There was a little accessory that you could put on the actual end of the gun that would let you use your gun for the device. In this case, it saved them quite a bit of money, but it also helped them considerably at their competitions. I myself even used it for about a week or so. And then, even though I hadn't shot a shotgun in 30 years, I entered two local competitions in the Dallas area and I won first place back to back. The other contestants I beat thought I was lying about not shooting a gun in 30 years. And to me, it was pretty clear that the XR training worked. The game cost about $50. The accessories, I think, were about 75. And the people who were serious about competitions spent thousands, even tens of thousands, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to improve their shooting skill. And this $125 investment spent on this simulator proved to be one of the best purchases they could possibly make. So in this case, the ROI here for them was huge. It wasn't for all the customers. It wasn't for the casual customers. It was perfect for the professionals. And this is why I want this to stress this point as financial companies go as well. When the use case of extended reality serves a valuable purpose, when it has a fundamentally clear ROI, then all of a sudden, extended reality makes a very convincing case. That said, just throwing money at a XR project doesn't necessarily guarantee success or that the use case is a good one. This is where there have obviously been some missteps in this space. This is one of the most notable ones that happened, I think, what is this, 2022, right? There have been some instances where big missteps in the use of XR has cost people jobs, have been PR nightmares, and have been poorly conceived. I hate to say this, but sometimes people in my industry are looking for any way to make a dollar, right? And they will take a project knowing fully well, but it's not really a convincing reason to do so. I occasionally see enterprise companies as well pushing an effort to use XR without carefully considering why they are doing it. Because others are doing it is simply not a good enough reason. You really do need to educate yourself to make sure that you're progressing and using the technology in a logical, smart way. While some companies do make this a priority, others follow the leader. Okay, so although this is all happening, oh shoot, 1 second. Back up there, I lost my place. Sorry about that. Okay, although this is happening less so in recent months, as the metaverse hype didn't quite work out the way it was originally planned, there are ways in which financial companies can use XR in their business with clearly documented ROI. While this is still a relatively new field for the world of finance, and there are regulations that make this a little more difficult, there are certain times in which you have to be forward-thinking and take calculated risks, just like investing, and be okay with that risk being early on something. So does being early have value? And the truth is that oftentimes, but not always, right? Sometimes being early can be just a waste of money. You have to kind of plan it accordingly. Before I do get into these use cases, I want to touch on 3 quick topics and then we'll get into it. The first one is how the mind works. It's important to understand, if I could go back into school and study one other topic that would help me in XR, it would be cognitive psychology, because understanding how the mind works, how it learns, how it remembers and processes information is key to understanding how to put extended reality to good use. We as humans, we process information differently than we do spatial information, differently than we do two-dimensional information that we see on a printed page or a computer screen or a television screen. I wish I could bring all of you right now into virtual reality with me, because honestly, it's the best way to really demonstrate how it all works. When I teach my class at UCLA, my favorite part is bringing my students into a virtual reality experience with myself, and we'll do essentially a virtual reality a field trip, and we do that several times. The thing about it is we also learn better by doing something versus watching, reading, or hearing about it. The act of doing something creates a map in our brain of the process in which it does it in such a way that we can't get by reading or passively watching. So extended reality allows us to process information better, to understand complex concepts better, and the ability to participate in the experience, the lesson or game, goes way further than what you'd get just from reading about it or hearing about it. Second part here is that the use cases of extended reality have financial implications. Let me explain what I mean by that. So if I have 2 clients that are looking to sell something and using XR to sell it, what they sell and the value of what they sell affects the ROI. especially when we consider that currently, right now, today, approximately 1% of the world's population has an XR device. It's higher in certain countries, but it's about 1% globally. So if I'm selling t-shirts at $20 a piece and using XR allows me to sell 500 more t-shirts, the ROI to develop an XR sales tool just doesn't make a lot of sense. But if I'm selling $50 million yachts and XR allows me to sell 2 more yachts a year, it quickly looks like a smart investment that has a strong ROI. So how you are using XR and what you are selling or promoting with it can make or break the case. If you were trying to add a swing set to the local playground, it's not going to have the same value for you if you're trying to bring in a $10 billion data center to your state. So I think it's obvious, but the value of what you're doing plays a big role. And lastly, you really can't go anywhere these days without seeing or talking or hearing about AI, about how AI is going to change our lives, about how AI is going to change everything. And I don't disagree, it clearly is. But where does AI and XR intersect? And we could go on a big, long tangent there, and I won't go that far. But I will say it's a really interesting point. At this point, if you want to interact with AI right now, most of you are probably doing so in ways you don't even realize. There's AI as a hidden layer in your life that you're not even interacting with. But if you want to intentionally interact with it, you can probably pull up an app on your phone or your web and basically input information. That may be through typing or maybe through your voice and talking. But the text or the voice options are still somewhat limiting to the full effect you can get when you add AI and XR together. I kind of like to think of them as the chocolate and peanut butter of the technology world. I'm not sure which one I'd consider chocolate and peanut butter, but they do go well together. So not only do you get to interact with a physical object, a physical being like a robot or a virtual person or an entity, but you are actually interacting with another. When I say another, I mean you feel like you are interacting with another entity instead of just an abstract concept that is a voice or something that's producing text. Also, when you see AI and XR together, information can be presented, adjusted, or created by your interaction AI. We recently did a project where you interacted with an AI robot and it changed the car variables based on your input. Right now at Polycount, my company, we're working on a new type of storytelling, kind of like a choose your own adventure movie. And I think that using AI and XR in that way could be a great effect for telling stories, for involving your customers, and it can be used throughout the finance world. We're still at the very, very early stages of that, though. Okay, so let me get these points out of the way. If you go right now and you Google, or if you use the other great AI tool, ChatGPT, and you say, what are the best 10 major use cases for extended reality or finance? Here's what you get: enhanced customer experience, improved data visualization, enhanced training and education, improved collaboration and communication, operational efficiency, marketing and brand differentiation, enhanced accessibility, security and fraud prevention, faster decision making, and better client retention and acquisition. So I'm going to talk about a few of these, but I'm not going to talk about each one. The main reason is that you can Google these and read more about them yourself if you want to. And second of all, we don't have experience doing all of these. My company, we've done, I don't know, several hundred projects in the last few years, but we haven't touched on every single one of these. And so I don't want to speak about something that I have very limited knowledge about. However, from my experience, most of these concepts, most of these sectors are correct. They are the way in which XR benefits whatever you're trying to do. Some of these carry over to other industries as well. I think that in certain cases, other industries don't have to deal with some of the challenges the finance world does, but on the flip side, there's a lot of similarities between how various big corporations can use it. So let's start with enhanced customer experience. Using extended reality, you can give your customers a new way to understand their finances, investments, savings, and have the ability to use tools that allow time for them to experiment with different saving and investment scenarios and strategies without putting the actual money on the line. We did an internal test of this with Morgan Stanley. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Oh, no, I don't think I have that one. Oh, wait a minute. It's right here. Just a second. He definitely does that. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and reshare. There we go. go. Oh, there we are. Too many things in the window there. I want to, let me just close this out, see if I can get there another way. Here we go. So we did this in 2023 where Morgan Stanley, this is an exact example, but Morgan Stanley had us do an experiment for internal employees where the employees got to choose pictures of their dream home, with AI, their dream home, their dream vacation, and their dream hobby. And they all were able to walk around in the space together at an event and choose and vote on who had the best dream scenario. And again, this isn't the exact same image, but it was something like this. This was a gallery that people were able to go into, and they were able to go on the web or in virtual reality. Here's another example of a company who did something clever with virtual reality. And this is I'm going to mute this so you can see it, but I can keep talking. This is something that Fidelity did on the platform Roblox. They made a game for young people, and it's not just young people, but young people especially, to learn about investing and finance by making a game that allows, I'll make it bigger, making a game that allows you to collect and grow your financial, I guess your wallet, I guess. And kids loved it. They enjoyed playing. They made pancakes. They collected ingredients. They were able to make collections, and essentially it's a type of game on Roblox called the Tycoon. It's very popular. We just did one this last year for Sour Patch Kids with the brand Mondelez. But Fidelity did this, and what it does is it gives them a chance to introduce their brand to a new generation. So it's a clever use of technology. Now this was on Roblox, so it's not virtual reality or extended reality, but it is in a way the gamified version of an immersive experience. And as I mentioned earlier, that we are currently building our own choose your adventure experience. It's kind of a blend between film and games that allow people to essentially use AI to give them a customized sort of film journey. And I think it's an exciting new future. Going back to that list for a minute, I'm going to talk about improved data visualization. And last night I was thinking about doing a immersive virtual experience for you all to demonstrate. And then I realized I haven't had much sleep. I just got into Boston last night. I want to get some sleep. So I was going to instead show you some work from this company called Flow Immersive. And if you get a chance, check out Flow Immersive. It's really neat. Flow Immersive builds basically a dashboard that gives you the ability to look at different kinds of data. It can be real time, but it is virtual reality accessible, so you can see it on a phone, but you can also experience it on the web. It's pretty neat though, because this right here, this is Donald Trump's tweets, and you can like scroll around it. You can zoom into it. You can see all the tweets. I'm not trying to make a political statement here, but there's a lot of tweets over the course of January 2010 to January 2022. And I think it's, I don't know how many, but there's quite a few. And you can click on the actual one and see what those tweets are. And there's how many people liked it and what the volume of favorites were. So you can see, but this is just an interesting way in which data can be presented. That could be financial data, that could be data for your particular client, or a macro look at the data going on in the country. I will say too that we've been working a lot. My company's been working a lot with data centers over the last 10 or 12 years. And there's a lot of stuff happening right now in the world of data centers, especially with AI. And one of the interesting things I'm looking forward to doing, I haven't done it yet, is to work with a data center company to take a data center and visualize the power that's going in and the power that's coming out, the data, the bit stream of information that's going in and going out, and to kind of break down and take a very, very, very complex thing, which is how a data center works and how it's powered and how all the different connections are happening at the same time, and make it distilled down and simple for lay people with less technical skills than an advanced electrical engineering degree would require, to present that information. And that would allow data centers to be able to give more a stronger presentation and explanation of how they operate to people who are less technically inclined. we talk about enhanced training and education, it's pretty obvious. This one's straightforward. It's been proven that training in XR offers a safer, less expensive remote solution that favors both the trainer and the trainee. Obviously, this is the case in dangerous situations that can be applied to like, let's say, a fire training or working on a nuclear reactor, but it can work for financial companies as well. For example, you can simulate real world situations that allow employees to make better decisions when it comes to dealing with customer complaints or dealing with soft skills. There's a company called Tailspin.
We give people the tools to listen, be empathetic in conversations that feel real. We trained 3,000 people inside of 2 days, and everybody had a personal learning experience.
This is a really great company called Tailspin that offers this ability to use XR as a way to train how to interact with people, how to give employers soft skill training that doesn't put them on the spot. They can do the same thing over and over. Let's say they go through and they do something wrong, they say something wrong. You can stop. Let's try it again. Let's do it this way. It also helps teach empathy, which can be very valuable for your employees. But there's other ways to use virtual reality, augmented reality for your employees and for training education. I will say that last year we worked on a project for, if I can find it here. Yeah. We worked on a project for Bank of America where we built a game. Let me make this quiet here. We built a game for their employees. Basically, we partnered with Bank of America and a few of they hired some famous rock climbers, and we made this. Basically, it was like a 10-minute, 15-minute game for employees, and they had about 500 employees who came to their conference. The star employees came to a conference down in Florida, and we put them through Oculus Quest 2 devices. They played on teams of 4, and their goal was to get to the end where they get extracted from the canyon by a helicopter. They had a series of challenges that they had to go over. They had to climb ropes. They had to go up a big, tall building or a tall rock tower. They had to go over ladders that were broken and assemble rope bridges out of parts. There weren't that many teams that actually completed it. Most of them didn't get all the way through, but it was an interesting project, and it was something that we would definitely say we learned a lot on. Let me see a couple more things here, and then I'm going to get to questions. On improved collaboration and communication, while we were in lockdown mode, this is the area that we first started to get traction. Ultimately, what allowed my company to get access to many of our current clients, including Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, and CVS, and companies like that. And that was the use of XR to allow for immersive collaboration. And it stayed on, but I think that the truth is that the devices still have some room to improve. I mean, that's why I'm out here at MIT Hackathon, is to keep my eyes and keep my ears open to where these devices are coming, how fast they're coming along. And basically, we still have to get to the point where everybody is on the certain device. Like, in order for us to experience the work, the device has to be the one that everyone else has something compatible with. And which software program. And over the last 5 years, we've watched some of these software programs have closed down. Some of them have excelled. Some of them have not. Meta's Meta Horizon has picked up a lot. Microsoft had a platform called AltSpace, which they shut down in 2023, and then they reopened as Microsoft Mesh. And Peter and I both met on a platform called Spatial, which is still going on. So there are these kind of bumps along the way, and there are these sort of improvements that continue to occur and happen. And we're seeing a lot of interest right now in the Apple Vision Pro. In fact, that's why I'm out here at the MIT Hackathon, is to be a mentor on the Apple Vision Pro. I recall back to 2020 when I was in a meeting with about a dozen people from around the world, and I was showing one of them a model that I had produced of the DFW airport. It was pretty well done. It was kind of small, but you could stretch it and make it bigger and smaller. And I handed it to a gentleman from Ireland who was taking a look at it. And he looked at it for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. And then another gentleman to my right was actually in Japan. And he said, "Hey, could I see that?" And so this experience at the time felt totally natural. I had a person standing next to me from Ireland. He hands me the model, and I hand it to the gentleman from Japan. And it felt as natural as if you were handing a salt shaker or a salt and pepper to your next door neighbor at the table. But what was really happening was a file was being transferred, sort of spatially from Dublin to Dallas to Tokyo in near real time. And it was a powerful moment for me, and one that I believe many of us will have in the future. But it's something that you kind of have to have that experience to really understand it. To see a video of it just doesn't quite give you the same sense of it. A couple of years ago, I was asked to be at a round table for a discussion about XR in the space. And this was where a lot of business leaders from around the world were at. And in fact, I was having a conversation with the ex-president of the United Nations. I never would have thought that I'd be in a situation like that. But all of a sudden, this new paradigm of communication and collaboration is totally possible. With regards to finance, imagine having a meeting with a signature client that you have while they are gone on a ski trip or on an African safari, and you can feel like you're with them in that space. In fact, that's what's happening and what's possible now with the Apple Vision Pro. There's a feature, I'm sure Peter's seen it, where you can basically switch your view when you're wearing the Apple Vision Pro from seeing the avatar to letting the other person see what you're seeing. And you can walk around and show them the experience just like you are really there. And it's an incredible experience because you suddenly feel like you're seeing the world from the other person's eyes. They're not holding a phone, they're looking around and you're seeing it from their perspective. And when it comes to operational efficiency, we're talking about that in terms of some of the advantages for the world of finance. This again is where I saw the need during COVID-19. We're having virtual conferences, virtual meetings, even asymmetrical events where people could come in and participate at a time that was different for other people in the experience. One company we worked with, GoDaddy, produced a party that lasted for 24 hours. They had musical live musical concerts, live musical acts that would perform, and their employees would come in for a 3-hour period if they were in the South Asian hemisphere. They were over here, they were over there. The different time zones would come in and have a meeting or a party that lasted for 24 hours. I want to say it was something like 20,000 employees that joined this party that lasted for 24 hours, but they didn't have to get on a plane and fly someplace. They just did it from their own location, their computer, their home. So there's clearly a benefit of using extended reality in that way. And then lastly, I'll just say that like when it comes to, well, a couple more here. For enhanced accessibility, we've worked with several companies, including a defense company, that used XR as a tool to make sales presentations, including incorporating models and data and video that allowed them to pitch and make sales deals without having to send the sales teams out of the office. One such company was Asahi Beverage that was able to make several multi-million-dollar deals and then not send the sales team out, but instead Advance sent out XR headsets. And that gave them the ability to have the sales team stay in their country and the people who are getting pitched were in the other country. We also are currently right now are about to start on a project for Netflix that is going to be a digital twin of their new cinema experience in the United States. This XR experience will be viewable on the web and in the Apple Vision Pro and allow the decision makers from various parts of the United States to collaborate at the same time and have informed decisions and basically move the process along faster, thus saving them money. We also recently did this for some projects for Disneyland in Shanghai and Hong Kong. For financial companies, the ability to share the data, to do real-time scenario testing, and to be able to test ideas, concepts, and strategies on the fly together can save significant time and money. And for better client relations and acquisitions, it's understood that customers want to know that their financial services companies are staying current with the newest technology, but they're not falling behind when the world we live in moves so quickly. I personally do not believe the average person really cares if their financial institution right now, let's say at XYZ Bank, is using the most advanced tools in the world. I don't think the average person cares what tools those are. But when those tools start to offer distinct advantages to the customers, then they'll start to use them. The perception of a company being forward-thinking and looking for where things are going will be important and valuable. But for tech-savvy customers, those who are really at the edge of technology right now, having the access and early access to those advanced technologies like XR and how to incorporate XR and AI together will help guide and educate them and hopefully bring them into a position where they're more of a fan of that company. I'll just say that we're working on some really cool projects right now, and I'll finish it up and ask questions. We're working on a golf betting experience right now that's incorporating AI. It's kind of like a DraftKings AI. We're working with Roblox right now and building some games for corporations that don't want to spend the $250,000 to make a fully blown Roblox game, but have a budget of obviously less than that, but are still looking to test the waters. And we're working with a very, very large US home builder to take advantage of the Apple Vision Pro to give their customers an early look at their new real estate developments. That's all I've got. Thank you very much for your time. I think I've got 15 minutes here or so. I will open up to any questions you all may have.
Yeah, as you probably know the Zenith policy, feel free to ask questions. There are no wrong questions.
Okay.
No questions is a good
I think
one
that's
to
it.
do. Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for this. I think you have given a very, very good overview of extended reality in financial services and where should we focus and where this whole thing is going. So thank you very much. And thanks, everyone. See you guys on the next Zenith call. Thank you.
Thank you.